Welcome in, guys. Good morning. Jim Marcus, how you doing this morning? Tim, good morning. All right, guys. Is that Gary George that just snuck in here? Good morning, Gary. Zen, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well this morning. Anybody that's, I know I got a couple of my folks is over in Western Tennessee. How you doing this morning, Gary? We're just riding the rain out again today. It doesn't look like as bad as storms as what we had yesterday. Justin, good morning. Doesn't look like the storms are going to be as bad today, but we're still going to get some more rain. So, Moro, morning. I was like, hey, what are you going more on there, or what's the deal, Justin? I didn't know where you were going with that. All right, guys. Well, we kind of took a break yesterday, worked through a box of some, that looked what I think was raw Keokuk. I got a bunch of spalls and flakes off of it. We're going to try to do a heat treat sometime later this summer on that. But I think today, depending on how my flaking tools are going to hold up with this humidity, but I figured I'd do some more work with this piece of obsidian that Kenosha Kinku sent me. This was the first point that we made out of that. The first day I got it, I took one flake from here. That's where that point sat in there. So I'm going to try to do get another flake off this. It's like I said, I've looked through it. There's a crack right here, and it looks like the people that spalled it, that where they got it from, I can see the impacts where they, so obsidian's real bad. Rogue Ghost, I don't know. I don't get a lot of, flakes or anything. I'm sure there's some dust, but I live on a dirt road out here, and I mean, the amount of dust that I would probably ingest, that's probably got me cleared out, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Sincere Wilson, thank you for the follow. So I think we're going to try to take a spall flake down this face here. But again, like I said, I can see impacts out here, so I'm hoping that the flake will hold together. So we can continue to work down through some of this stuff. Always makes me nervous. So there's a gentleman within the community. His name's Dan, and I can't, for whatever reason, his last name, Dan Collins, and he was spalling some obsidian here recently and had a flake come off, and it cut his knuckle and separated his finger. Yeah, Rogue Ghost, I've not, typically, if I see something floating on the surface, I usually give it a look-see before I take a drink, but when I get to the end of the cup, there's no gravel or anything down there usually. I think it's low enough down, and I'm sure through the years I've gotten a few pieces in there, but I've always had just a drink sitting next to me. Now, if I'm at a nap in and it's on the ground, if I've got a drink set on the ground, then I'll cover it up. But other than that, I just set it out there. So I think we're going to try, if I can get a piece to hold together on this. I was kind of looking earlier, I was trying to kind of figure out what plane that I'd like to take that in, and there's a kind of a ridge right here. It's not a really pronounced ridge, but I'm trying to get as many nice pieces off this as possible. So I think if I hit a little bit steeper. That's where I was kind of getting in my mind here. Yeah, no kidding. Especially some of this stuff. Whoo. But if I can catch this high enough up on the margin to take a nice flake or the end of this off, I'm trying to get as many nice pieces out of it as possible and work around. There's a few little crack spots. Here's a crack, so I'm hoping I can go underneath it on this side. So anyway, I'll try to get a flake to start working on. Hopefully the storms won't mess with my internet like they did. Hey Rick, good morning. Yesterday we were having some difficulties. All right, let's see if we can get this to come off here. I want something with a little bit more. A little more thump to it. Not that much. I could just tell the feel of that. I didn't want that. Yeah, maybe I had the best thing for it. All right. There we go. Now that's just the outside, kind of the cortex of it, but it's just a nice, straight, lenticular blade. Mad Dog, good morning. Well, right on, Rogue Ghost. Anytime, man, and if you've got some questions, feel free to ask. As we're breaking this piece down, you can see where I was kind of saying I wanted to hit that off. Now I can see out in here, coming from this other end, there's a little bit of a crack, but it's really similar to the flake that I took here for this point. And if you break it down, just, this one's got a little bit of a thin spot. This is a really thin piece. We're not going to get as big a piece out of it, but it's an, very similar flake, that flake right there. And then what that did is that set me up almost like a blade core. So the next flake that I take on this, and see, here's the other thing. Remember I was talking about cracks in there? See how that went to that chunked up area where that got hit and it stopped? That's because there's a fracture that went down into that rock. Yeah, that's when it gets rough, Rogue, is when you start getting the step fractures and then can't figure out a way to get them out. See, like I said, I can see these impacts in this. That crack is the same one that goes all the way through over here. So this piece is eventually going to split, more than likely, like this. So now that I've got another flake here, looks like I'll get a decent flake here next time we work it. But anyway, set that aside. And if this will hold together in the center, you can see it's kind of thin in there, right through there. But we're going to do what we can with it. I'm going to lose a lot of this because this is the edge, the original bulb there. You can see there's a lot of kind of crackled up junk that was on the edge. Skitty, good morning. And then the same thing on this end where it broke off, where it hit that crack. So, tell you what we're going to do. If I can do this, I'll get you guys a little bit better view of the now when I start off with a flake, and this is with any kind of morning Bill, any kind of flake that I'm trying to work, whether it's obsidian or, first thing that you want to do is you want to take down these super sharp edges. I mean, this is sharper than a razor blade on these edges right now. And what that is just basically a weak spot that the stone or, well, we'll work on that today, Rogue Ghost. So that's something that with this piece, with it being as flat across here, we're going to have to build some convexity, and it's awfully thin. So this one's going to be a little bit of a puzzle. Because see, you do the same thing with this flake as you would with a big spall. Like here's a piece of Rainy Butte's material, big spall of it. And I would look at this piece and say, okay, I'm going to lose this area, thin it down. You know, you're looking where that point lays in your material. And if you look at this, it's got a little bit of almost a double S curve in it. It's got a little bit of this going on. So these areas are going to have to come off either end, and then try to keep that center line. Seems counterintuitive. I may have missed something, Justin. Or if I've got one of my moderators that can pin anything that was pertinent to that before that comment, because I don't quite understand don't have any context on the seems counterintuitive. Either I said something you don't agree with, or doesn't sound right, or oh, I got you. Yeah, Justin. Well, you're dulling it in the beginning stages. Now, I think historically, I mean, that's a knife as soon as it came off there, you know, and you could use it as such to slice or to do whatever. Yeah, Rogue Ghost. It's, you know, and that's for me. I was pretty much self-taught for, you know, I napped for over about 2 years before I ever knew anybody else did this, and that was back in the mid-90s. So when I finally met a guy at work that, you know, it was like a whole new world to me to realize that there were other people that did this. But what I'm doing right here, I mean, it looks like you're just, you know, scraping the edge back, but if you look, I definitely don't want to do this over my coffee. We'll move it back because we're going to be doing a lot of, let's see here. That work there? No, I'll find a better spot for this. What we're doing, Terry, good morning. How are you, man? Are you guys, did you fare okay through the weather? Oh, I'm telling you, Rogue Ghost, and it's huge now. I mean, you know, it made a resurgence in the 80s and 90s, but there was nothing like the numbers that are out there now. I mean, there's a couple of like Facebook flint napping sites that are 80,000 people. Don, good morning. But anyway, so the reason that I was saying I dull this edge is that it's basically like a weak spot along that edge. And when it's so thin, when you first start out and everything is, you know, you're working with contours that aren't set up for, you know, this is most generally, when I break a flake point, it's usually in these first stages trying to get, because I've got a lot of mass right here to get off there. And you've heard me say you don't want mass on the ends and thinner in the center. And that's, oh my gosh, Terry. Well, I saw your post about that, about the folks over there. Man, that's terrible. I mean, I'm glad you're okay and all that, but man. You know, they were talking on the news how they said that, you know, the old Tornado Alley used to be, you know, Oklahoma, Kansas, up that, like, you know, angle, but it's like it's, Zach, I look for, depending on, are you talking about for material as far as what I want to work? Then I'm looking for any rock that breaks with a conchoidal fracture. And all that means is when I hit it, it's kind of like a BB hitting a piece of storefront glass, how it pops a little hole on the outside, but on the inside it cones out. If a rock will break that way, or glass, anything that breaks that way can be napped. The texture or the ease that it naps is where you have to make the decision. If it's really, really tough to do that with, then there's probably better material. Or, like there's some folks that live out on the East Coast that the material there is just really, hey Branson, thank you for the follow, is really difficult to work, to say the least. So, but when I'm looking for material, I look for usually stuff that's got a shiny texture to it. That it most generally, I pick up a lot of stuff. Yeah, Rogue Ghost. I'd say the glass and obsidian are easier to work when you're first starting out, but they're not necessarily easiest. I mean, they teach you you have to support the piece well. Because it is more brittle, it'll break easier, and you can learn your angles. But man, I'm telling you, when it's hard to go from, like yesterday, I worked raw, tough material, so I'm really going to have to make sure that I'm not trying to overpower this piece as we work through it. But because it does break so much easier. Let's see, let me get all my... There it is. I developed these little favorite grinder stones that used to be hammer stones. You see all these little facets that get ground into it. This is my new one. It's beginning to get those same, and I've got to where I really like that. Well, some of it, Rogue Ghost, depending on where you're getting it at, if it's fracturing, what you're getting into is what some people refer to as freeze fracturing, but I just think it's damage that happened to the stone while it was in formation, because of tectonic plate movement. So Zach, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So if you're in an area that's got a nappable material, if you just spend some time looking around for it, you'll find pieces somewhere in there. Steve, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. And even if you're finding smaller see right there where they had tried to hit that. I mean, you heard it. It just went. It didn't snap. It crushed. It was already crumbled in there. Let's see here. Yeah, and there's an angle back this way, so. Oh, Georgetown all day, Bill. All day. Made 1 point. Awesome. Awesome, Rogue Ghost. Yeah, that's some of the obsidian, and then there's some guys doing some really cool, man, this is making me nervous that you can see this crack where that was. There's a lot of guys doing some stuff with kiln, like the microwave kilns. This is just a little piece of sandstone, Pamela. And it used to be, well, I don't even know, I don't even have the other, it used to be, like softball shaped. It's just got a texture that I like, and I've used it, progressively smaller. You can see, here's some other ones. You can see the wear pattern that they developed. If I like the way that they work, they tend to work into that shape. That or a round ball. This one's got the corners mainly knocked off of it. Most of these are going to have, oh yeah, root beer is good stuff, Justin. If you can get a hold of the really, oh no, Rogue Ghost, I'm not, that's the thing. I'm not a production napper. You're not slowing me down or doing anything that, I do this because I enjoy it. And if you guys got questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm just, right now, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna lose that's gonna break along there. That's just a pretty good sized crack in a thick area on brittle material, but we're gonna try to see if we can work it through without breaking it, but it's coming off where they hit it. Oh man, that's so awesome, Justin. That's you know, that's a, if you're a flint napper, that's the spot to be. Yeah, root beer, any of the Texas stuff. I've worked some now. I got the opportunity. I had to work some more, and I like the raw material. It's tough, but it makes really, really good tools. I mean, it holds together, and it really, you can nap it, you know. So some of this stuff you kind of have to treat it with kid gloves. Southeast Kentucky. Yeah, you're getting into the, I don't know that area very well, but I'm not sure the lithic resources that are there, Rogue Ghost. You know, some places like in Tennessee and Kentucky, they have lots of napping material, but in some places, or especially the farther east you go and you start getting closer to the Atlantic, it gets tougher to find decent stuff over there. Sorry about the little skips. Every once in a while somebody tries to invite, you know, wants me to invite them in, and it's almost always somebody with a name I can't pronounce, and I just can't figure out for the life of me just to wander around on TikTok trying to invite yourself into stuff that you don't even know what's going on. That, and have any of you guys had the, you know, the I want to be your friend, I will support you, go to my or I sent you a message, or I'm just like, my goodness, the scammers do abound. Yep, there. That's all right. Looks like that was the end of the crack, so that is part of the fun of it. I knew that was going to happen that way, but it's still, we've still got material this way, so we can still salvage quite a bit of that length. Well, if you've got material that is that's workable, Pamela, it's anything that you have that's free. And I've suggested to people, we've done like, you know, bottle bottom napping, like beer bottle bottoms, or, you know, old Clorox jar or jugs, fruit jar bottoms. See there, it broke right in the middle. All right. That's the problem with it being thicker on one end and then thin in the middle. And it broke. See, this is why I was telling you guys, and I'm not making excuses because I should have been supporting it better. But you can see right here along that ridge, you see that little tiny cone fracture in there? And it goes through on both sides. That's where, well, that's not where I was pressing on it. That's just where it broke, because it was hit there at some point and made a little cone that didn't travel all the way in, and that's typically, that one's a little bit thick on the end. I'm gonna set those over there. I'll make something out of the Let's see if we can get a better flake. That one wasn't very good to start with. See if we can take one right here. But no, Pamela, I'd start with anything that you can get that's free, because you're going to break a lot of stuff learning to do this. Try to get a little bit of dust on there and strengthen that edge. Well, we've got another usable flake there. And that crack that I told you it was going to break at, there's a try to get anything out of this that's a usable piece. That one might make it to the point. Yeah, Fred, I don't use saws or modern stuff at all. I mean, most obsidian, you can get some of the, the non-banded, non-iridescent varieties. It's one of the cheapest materials out there, actually. But the problem is with this one here, even if you cut this, you're still running into the same cracks and seams. Whoever spalled this material off hit it. Oh, absolutely, Justin. That's what I was just saying a while ago. The bottom of a beer bottle or fruit jars, old Clorox bottles, any kind of thick glass that flakes when you apply pressure to it will work for flint knapping. So, yeah, any kind of glass. Whoop, sorry guys, I was just lighting another incense here. My one's getting ready to go out. All right. But yeah, this one had cracks in it, and it broke right along where that crack was. So you can see all the internal, there's some of the crack that's left right there, but you got to be see right in front of that kind of, but these edges you have to be so careful with, because it is incredibly sharp. We might try to get another one right there. Yeah, unfortunately, there's some, like I said, there was some cracks in this. Let me dull this edge a little, because it will seriously just cut right through that leather where I'm supporting it. Yeah, you could, but like I said, it just depends on how you might get a few slabs out of it, but I've got, I made a point. I've got 2 other pieces here that I know I'll make a point, and I'm fairly certain that I'm going to be able to get some more out of this. So, just depends on how you like to work it. This is, Jason, this is obsidian that I had somebody sent me. Kenosha Kinku. I don't think they're in here this morning, but this one, and like I said, there's several spots where when it was spalled off, whoever did the spalling was hitting it with something that was leaving a bunch of pits in it, and that's what my concern was were there going to be internal fractures because they didn't completely take the flake when they hit it. All right, let's see right here. It's kind of a steep angle here, but I think a flake will go. Kind of a double flake. So now you can see a seam in the middle of that. That's a healed up or not quite done fracture, but I'll get another nice point out of that. That's why I typically don't use, I don't like saws so much. Set that aside till I get this other stuff off here. See, and here's another piece that'll, it has to be worked down, but to me, that's the puzzle part of it, is being able to, this piece has got a ridge here and some mass on the back side of it, but everywhere else it's fairly uniform, so it's just a matter of working it down. Let's see what else we can see. And in the process of taking these flakes, you can see what's happening to our core rock is starting to get, it looks more like similar to a biface. And we're basically just trying to get it down. Oh yeah, Doug, there's New Mexico, there's quite a few places that have native obsidian, or places that, that they sell along the roadside and stuff. This is a beautiful piece. It's that kind of a opaque, some of it is more translucent than this is, but all right, I gotta work into this a little bit. I'm gonna there's a little bit of an edge here that needs to be worked back. Kind of an undercut along my flake here. Just trying to catch this little bit of an edge there. Something with a little bit more pop to it. There we go. See, I'm doing the same thing that I do with, any kind of shirt or anything else. I'm gonna kind of work this almost zigzag. It's a little harder to see because the material's darker, but like I said before, it doesn't have to be pretty to start off with. Work with what you've got. I've got a little bit of a seam right here. I'm going to try to work around to where I can set up this ridge right here and try to run a flake down it. Just basically taking off mass in areas where I don't, it's not going to be in the point, so to speak. Tell you what I might try a little bit of. couple of these. Little, they're moose billets, or moose, the bases of moose tines. And I use them a little bit like a hammerstone as far as the holding and the technique of it, but it grabs like an antler does, so I like it on glassier material. See, we're taking that edge and kind of lining it up. And always, always, always. Deer Trail, how you doing? Curtis, thank you. But yeah, as you're working this stuff, just keep dulling it when you see a sharp spot. Or feel a sharp spot, because every one of these blades coming off here is creating a razor blade edge. So see, I took that flake off the end that way, so now you can see that this is now lowered down closer. Right on, Deer Trail. Well, I know you've been kind of going through it, or were there for a while, and hope everything is going better for you. There's another point flake. See, as I'm working this down, I'm also making tools, tool blanks. Kenosha, good morning. I've been working through some of the obsidian you sent me. I took a piece a while ago, and that crack that I told you about that I was concerned about, well, it came apart kind of in half, but we've got a pile of stuff. I'm going to end up being able to make quite a few points out of it. So, oh, you saw it? Okay, I wasn't sure when you were in here if I really do try to pay attention when I'm working this stuff, to what I'm doing here, because like I said, there's a gentleman by the name of Dan Collins that's in the napping community, and he just here recently had a pretty nasty injury with some obsidian. I don't know how long he's been napping, but I know how long I've been napping, and I know how easy I get cut with it, so. Well, I know I at least got one nice one out of it, Kenosha. So, but I know there'll be several more. I'm thinking I'm going to be able to get this worked down to a nice. Yeah, he's on the mend now, Kenosha. But he was spalling obsidian and had a flake come off, and it separated his finger at the knuckle. It went in between the joint and actually caused some pretty severe damage from what I understand. So, yeah, like I said, I'm just always a lot more cautious. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing with this material. You don't want to be scared of it, but at the same time, you definitely want to be cautious. Oh, thank you, Curtis. Yeah, DJ, it's some pretty scary, sharp stuff. And I mean, you don't realize it, because the average person, if you don't deal with this material or stuff like this, you may think you know what sharp is. You don't know sharp. You do not understand how wicked sharp these are coming off here. Each one of these flakes has the potential to be one molecule thick at the edge. We can't make anything man-made that comes close to that. This makes under a microscope, this makes a surgical scalpel look like a lawnmower blade, you know? I mean, it's nuts. See, and especially when you're dealing with, and that took a little bit more off the edge than I wanted to, but when you're dealing with blades coming off there, and you've got to, that is correct, Kenny. Absolutely. Brandon, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. All right, so now we're going to work this ridge. Try to get some of that off there. Once I get it to where I can get my hand around it, I'm not quite as nervous, but like I said, until that point, these things come off here and they're slicing and dicing. Just trying to take some fine little contouring flakes here. This edge is really steep, so I'm just trying to kind of get those to turn in a little bit this direction because I'm getting ready to take material here. Well, right on, Brandon. I mean, if you've got questions, or Brandon Kyle, I don't know, is it Kyle Brandon or Brandon Kyle? If you got questions, feel free to ask. That's why I'm doing this. I mean, Justin, you as well. I mean, I'm not, I don't know everything, but if I can help you, I definitely will. Randy, thank you for the follow. See, right here, I'm just trying to turn this edge back. That's another reason I don't like freehand napping this stuff, because Vichy, thank you for the follow. Randy, you used to, as you getting ready to say, yeah, you used to nap. Right on, Justin. Yeah, like I said, anytime you've got a question, just feel free to ask. Be happy to help. I mean, I remember how frustrating when I first started, a long time ago. There were no resources for this, and I had to just kind of fumble my way through it for quite a while until I met somebody else that was a flint napper, and I didn't even know it was called flint napping. I was making arrowheads, So, all right, we're going to see if we can take, this is kind of an odd little weird chunky spot with all bad angles for me. So, and the mass that I need to remove is this right here. So we're going to try a couple of creative right here. I didn't like that. Get this angle. Yep, that was what I was thinking. All right. That was the last of that one crack that was in there, so we're good now. But no, I don't like freehand napping it, because when those come off, you heard that one hit the floor. I mean, I guarantee if I sat here when I say turning the edge, and Brandon, thank you for your kind words there. But when you turn an edge, like when you look at an edge, here, we've got, I'm trying to find a spot where because I'm going to take a flake here. Okay, where this platform is, it's on the bottom side, like this side, to where I want to take this mass. If that edge was up higher, then I'd want to remove material that would raise or lower or turn the edge towards the side where the mass is at. So, and that's why I say a lot of times you'll notice that you'll have platforms that are already set up over the top of where you want to remove mass, and you don't have to turn those edges. But if you've got a, like here's a spot where the edge is lowered to this side, but you see how it's kind of scooped out from a couple of previous flakes. I actually want to bring this edge this direction because this is where my mass is. The purpose of dulling the edge, Doug, it depends on if I'm hitting directly on the edge, I want to strengthen the edge. And then sometimes I'm doing it to turn it, to get it. When I take these flakes this way, it's essentially bringing that edge this way. So I'm turning it towards this face, and I'll show you. You can see this is the one with those undercut flakes. There's one little ridge right here. And as I'm doing this, as I'm turning the edge, I'm also contouring it. So if I can hit where I'm wanting to hit, a little bit smaller hammerstone now. See that? What I'm doing now is trying to keep my leg pad there where I'm trying to be careful and not put flakes where I set my arm or my elbow, because you'll stick yourself with them big time. But so this little fine flakes that I'm doing here, they're pulling off flakes. I don't know if you guys can see them coming off, but there went a little one. I'm just pecking and turning that edge, and you can see these little tiny flakes along the edge. See how it's kind of roughed up? And now you see how this edge is closer to this face now. I mean, it's still got some more work to go, but you see how it's actually coming up towards this mass. Yeah, the razor flakes, they're coming off there for sure. Try to set this side up. And like I said, I'm not trying to take big flakes. I'm just trying to set contours that are gonna make it to where I can take big flakes. That one was a little bit more coney than I wanted it, but it'll work. It'll set that up. I am gonna hold this with, because I'm not sure how that flake's gonna come off. One more. I was just turning that so I can get. Okay, now if you look at this from the end, you see how that's got like almost like a lenticular convexity to it, and I've got a ridge set right up on that. So this next flake, I should be able to take a substantial amount of that ridge off. All right. I'm telling you, you don't want these, DJ. I wouldn't want these anywhere near my face, because you're just not going to realize how sharp it is. I mean, it really is crazy. Now I'm getting down. I don't mind it so much when I can hold it, because I can support and trap those flakes. But that right there, I mean, let me see if I can turn it where you guys can almost see light through it this way. But that's, yeah, you would, absolutely, DJ. So now I've got another ridge this way. Yeah, I moved my coffee. I did, because this, when you're dealing with rock that's, you know, or glass, this is glass, but anything natural, I usually refer to it as rock. But that's got cracks and you're not real sure. User, I'm making a biface out of a piece of obsidian that was gifted to me. Oh, did I miss a oh, stone tools? Yeah. I'm just gonna make I think I'd like to make a Clovis out of this material. I think a Clovis would look really nice if we can keep everything together. So like I said, once I get where I can get my hands around it and I can support the flakes, I don't feel near as nervous about it, because then I have more control over those flakes coming off. See, and I'll trap them with my fingers, and that doesn't keep me necessarily from getting cut. Oh, right on. Well, I mean, I don't, as long as people are safe, but yeah, I think the volcanic stuff and tectonic plate moving and all that stuff. Jimmy, thank you for the follow. Para, thank you for the follow. Yeah, thank you, Hannah. Yeah, I'm being careful. Like I said, I feel a lot more confident when I can get my hand around the edge. See, I'm just trapping those little flakes as they come off there. But those early flakes, those are the ones that are coming off there with some velocity, and they're a little bit bigger than you can handle. Mark, you've got a lot of this in the creek. Well, Justin, if you like Clovises, I've got a few of them that I've made recently, posted on my... Yeah, I understand, Kenosha. That's good. I'm glad people are safe, but that's... Yeah, I think the... You know, like I said, tectonic and volcanic stuff and, you know, natural hot springs and that kind of stuff is just fascinating to me. Yeah, Justin, those are my, I like the paleo pieces. That's my favorite to make, but I mean, I make other point styles too, but if it came right down to it, I'd pick paleo stuff. If somebody made me choose, but thankfully that doesn't happen that way. Okay, I'm gonna try to take off this ridge right here. You can see it, and that's where I put a little bit of dust, kind of scraped on that to get, so that my hammerstone will get a little bit better grip on it. Just scuffing the edge up just a little bit. It is nerve-wracking, Doug. That's probably one of the, this is another one of those longer flakes that I'm not supporting underneath, so I'm gonna, now that's why. See why I didn't want to put my hand at the back of that, guys? When I took that flake, I was trying to take that ridge just like that, but I want you to see where it went to and how that came off. That one actually, I might be able to salvage a point of some kind out of that. But that right there is the reason on those bigger flakes that, see, that went from here and trailed all the way down that and took that big wide edge off there for us. So now we're getting closer to what I call a, you know, regular. See, that one bit me right there. That little point just slid off there and nicked my finger. I mean, that is the danger with this stuff. Oh, awesome. I'm telling you, if you can get a hold of some of that Uper light, I think that is the coolest stuff. Kenosha, that is, I've seen some of it. I mean, I've seen it in the yellows but the oranges and stuff. I mean, when it's under black light, that is the coolest thing. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I don't know much else about the geology up in that area, other than I've seen the videos of like I said, the Uper light stuff. All right. Right on, I will nap safely. I'm going to work on this one the rest of this morning here, and then if I finish something up, I'll definitely post it. Yeah, Mark, this is super sharp stuff. Well, that one doesn't want to let loose with the antler. There it goes. Just trying not to hit it too hard. Felt that one hit my foot. Mark, I am in Northwest Arkansas. Get back over here in the... Now, somebody asked me earlier about turning an edge, and that's kind of what I'm doing right here. Is I'm setting this edge up so I'm taking these series of flakes that are changing the see how these were the last two little flakes I took, but I'm going to take another series down along here, and I'm basically raising this edge this direction so that I can remove this mass, but I'm just trying to even everything out. I want it to be lens shaped. Mike, this is obsidian. This came from, I think Kenosha said it was Mount Hood is where it came from. And Mark, yeah, absolutely. Now, where is it you're from, Mark? I know you said a while ago, but I didn't catch all of it, I don't think. Illinois. Yeah, there's some pretty nice napping events up there too. I got to remember that I had this zoomed in pressure flake, and then I keep getting out of the frame. Sorry about that, guys. That one bit me too. That was a quick one. See, and that's just a little flake like that, and the end of it just jumped off the end and just cut me. Like I said, guys, that's why I'm, if you're new to flint napping, I've been doing this for a long time, and the holding techniques to keep from getting cut, See, I was supporting that flake, but that's another, just little razor blades coming off there. Like I said, I never nap this stuff where I don't get a little cut or a little, you know, a little stick or a poke on me somewhere. And that's, you know, I've been doing this for a long time. So I do caution you to be, you know, use protective equipment. But see, now even these flakes, that's going to make a point right there. Move over just a little bit. I think that one split on me. It did. That would have made another point, but that's okay. You can wear gloves, Mark, but I don't know. It's hard to explain. I don't like the loss of feeling that I get in my hands from them. A lot of what I do when I'm trying to remove a flake, you know, there's some feel to it. I don't know. It's hard to describe. But I just feel detached from it too much when I wear gloves, you know. Now, like I said, in the early stages, I'll just wrap it up with a piece of leather. But once I'm getting down to where I'm starting to end up with something that looks more like a biface, I like the feel and the control of just my bare hands, you know. And you just have to go into it understanding that you're going to get cut. Tubbs, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Get a sip of coffee. We're getting ready to do some fun stuff with this now. Try to get this where you guys can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. Can I hear it when it cracks? You can hear the high-pitched pop of it, Mark, when a flake detaches, for sure, other than just the sound of hitting the tool. And yeah, I'm sure that in some stuff they had some kind of protection, you know, with this material especially, Rick. But yeah, I agree. I just like the feel of being able to feel the contours of the stone as I'm working it. It's just a personal preference. I mean, it's like, you know, there's golfers that wear one glove. There's golfers that wear no gloves. There's some that wear two. You know, baseball, same thing. When you're swinging, they don't like the feel of it. But see, just tapping that's the power of this indirect. I just tapped that flake, and it went from right here is where it initiated, and it went all the way over here and trailed out. Another arrow point, or small point. See, and that one went right across that face there. Yeah, the only thing about it though, Rick, with the primitive folks was doing this to survive, and you know, most of us do it because it's a hobby, and if you slice your finger off doing your hobby, then you can't go do the job that makes you, you know, that gets you the mammoth steaks. So I would suggest to anybody, that one right there I'll pick through and get it, but that'll make another point. And see, you see I'm just hitting off of these little prepared spots, and you see how that's set up right down that ridge. If I can turn it the way you can see it, there we go. That ridge right there, that's what I'm going to run this flake down. Just like that. You see how that, when it starts to create that that lenticular, you know, my flakes are traveling good. Whoop. Get back over here where you can see. Well, that was a crazy little sharp flake there. Whew. Yeah, that's the thing, you know, because you injure yourself, man, and this stuff this will cut you in ways that are not good at all. Like I said, I mean, I expect to get little nicks and stuff anyway, but you know, like I said, that gentleman that, I mean, I don't know him personally, but he's on Facebook. He's a rock dealer, and he cut himself severely across his knuckle. Because this stuff it is wicked sharp, and we'll do it. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can do that with stone too, but it just does not cut quite as quick as this will. Yep, Dan Collins, that's exactly. I have injured my right hand before, Compa. I've actually missed an edge or had a tool that was real short, and I've actually swung my knuckle and hit an edge and cut it up pretty good. I've also done it when I'm pressure flaking like this, and I've had it roll in. But you know, with a little bit of practice and time doing it, you know, I mean, the accidents can still happen, obviously, but you learn different techniques of holding, and you know how much power you can put into something. But then the freak stuff still happens, you know. So you have to be super careful. Okay, we've got an area right here. Oh, don't tell me there's a crack in that. All right, I'm gonna have to play it real easy here. Because it looks like there might be another seam in this now that I took that flake. Hoping not. Oh, thank you, Darren. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's. Oh yeah, you know, you think I'm joking? There's Band-Aids. There's super glue. But yeah, the tomahawks, I mean, for a weapon, they'd be great. I wouldn't want to chop anything with them. Obsidian is awfully brittle. And if you're hitting on it, use it like to chop with, like on a tree, I don't think it would fare well. So what we're doing here, we're just oh, awesome. That's very awesome. Yeah, I was listening and doing some research here a ways back, and found out that the Aboriginal peoples of Australia, the indigenous there, they have a higher percentage. Oh yeah, for show, Mark. You need those tools, Ava Lee? Or Ava Lee, not sure. Pro American, thank you for the, or Pro America, thank you for the follow. I've got a video that explains my setup on my profile, Ava Lee, if you wanna check it out. It tells you how this little punch set up. Gosh darn it, I keep forgetting to. Tell you what, guys, since I'm going back and forth, I'm going to go back to the regular view on this because I know I'm getting in and out of. I just stuck my fingers down in my sharp flake pile there. Let me get us back here to where we're. Back to normal. That's a little bit better. Now I don't have to worry about being out of frame quite so bad. I had intended to do some pressure flaking, but that did not work out the way I wanted it to, so we're just keep working this little biface down. Right on, Mark. Yeah, thanks for coming in and hanging out for a while. Occult Wesley, thank you for the follow. Ali Hamza, thank you for the follow. And I've got this area right here, guys. You can see it's kind of a squared edge where that seam was. And I'm going to do the same thing that I do, typically on an edge like that, is I'm just going to work it back and forth, almost like just a zigzag pattern. So steep downward flake, flip it over and use that removal as a platform, and you just work your way around taking those flakes like that. I'm going to take two there because this is a little spot. All right, now we're going to meet it from this end. Oh yeah, you can use a lot of different. I tell you, some material that's down there in Australia, it's very sought after here by a lot of folks, and it's called mookaite. Stan, thank you for the follow. It is a silicified clay, and it's got some absolutely beautiful colors to it. Now you can see those last three flakes were there, there, and there. And you see what that's starting to do to that convexity. And we've still got an area back here. I'm going to try to take some of that from the end here, just a little bit. But you guys see, I'm not hardly hitting this thing at all. I mean, it's to take those kind of flakes with this material. You just make sure it's up against the tool solidly, and just a nice crisp little peck is really all it takes to have a flake come off. Especially when you get, it's a sharp spot there. When you get into the later stages of it like this, if you hit it too hard, you're going to break a lot of pieces. It's difficult for me to kind of back off See, there's another little, I'm leaking again there. I didn't even realize this stuff will cut you. I've been working obsidian before, and it felt sticky or tacky. Oh, awesome, Tubbs. That's very cool. So look what a killer flake that was. But see how see how it's curved? And it likes to travel in that curved shape. I might be able to make a point out of that. Yeah, it is, John. TV glass is just, I mean, it's the same kind of scary sharp and the same kind of break, kind of weird. Oh, awesome, Tubbs. Yeah, that'd be great. I love talking to other, especially from other cultures and regions of the world, because, that's what I tell everybody. If you want to learn to do this, I don't care where you're from. Your ancestors did it. If you're from North America, your ancestors did it. If you're from Africa, your ancestors did it. Europe, everybody. Everybody shaped tools into, weapons or hunting implements, no matter where you are in the world. So it's definitely something that you can do because your ancestors did it. It's just a matter of spending the time to learn, All right, I'm gonna take this side down. This is where we were talking. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Now, is it Avalee? Am I saying it correctly? But I'm gonna drive flakes down at a steep angle on this to try to turn this edge or raise it towards this face. Good. Yeah, I don't like mispronouncing anybody's moniker when they're in here, their name. Sometimes it gets a little crazy. I absolutely, Tubbs, we don't have kangaroos here. We have white-tailed deer, and that's exactly what I use to bind all my, this is one of my river cane arrows. I haven't shot it in a long time, but this used to be part of my hunting set. It's got a little warp sitting out here in the napping area. But you can see the binding on that. This one doesn't have any pine pitch. It's just hide glue and sinew. But now this one is it's what's called a foreshaft, and it's a river cane, basically North America's version of bamboo. And that's a hardwood foreshaft that fits down in there, and then it's reinforced. Of course, I stained or painted it, but this is sinew also, as well as the way that the feathers are wrapped down is sinew. Yeah, all of my stuff, Tubbs, is all done with primitive tools, Stone Age tools and materials. So thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. Yeah, I do axes and atlatls, and here was a recent project we're still working on. This is you'll like this one, Tubbs. This is North America's version of the boomerang. This is called a rabbit stick or a throwing stick, and it is of the same principle. This is a non-returning boomerang. This is made out of Osage orange. Bodark is another name for it. I've thrown it a little bit. I'm still working on getting used to it, but and I haven't thrown much stuff in a few years. I'm getting a little long in the tooth, so throwing stuff on a regular basis is not something I do, but I've been practicing with it. Awesome, Tubbs. Yeah, have him contact me. Yeah, I'll be 55 this year, Tubbs. So. All right. Let's look where we're at here. Yeah, the most of the mass that I want to take off, you can see it's kind of turtle backed on this side. So I'm going to try to set both of these sides up to remove that mass. Got a little bit right here to get back into the rhythm. I kind of got off subject and wasn't paying as much attention here. Sorry, guys. This weather's got me a little bit. Christopher, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Got me a little bit off. Ghost, thank you for the follow. Almost didn't see you there. Yeah, tomahawks, yeah. Seth, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Bevan, guys, awesome. Thank you for the follows. We're going to do a nice giveaway for the 10,000 followers on the channel. We're a ways away from it, but I'm going to do a nice piece. This piece right here, if you guys are interested, well, I haven't seen Todd in here. Todd, did you sneak in today and I haven't seen you? I just drew yesterday. I'm giving this to one of my subscribers. If you want to be eligible for one of these, hit the subscribe button to support the channel. And once a month I draw from my people, and I'm not even sure what that word is, Tubbs. But yeah, this one I drew yesterday, and Todd, one of my subscribers, won that point. I'll be shipping that out to him as soon as he gets back to me. And next month, somewhere around the 1st of May, I'm going to give away this Folsom that I made. Oh, I don't know, Tubbs, if I couldn't tell you if... Ubaldo, thank you for the follow. But I'm going to give this away sometime around the 1st of May for April, and to be eligible for that, all you have to do is be an active subscriber to the channel. So, as a thank you to you guys that support this, I really do. Aaron, I used to. That's kind of what got me started in it, but my health and my injuries in my back kind of limit the amount of... Oh, this obsidian. I got you now. Yeah, this is obsidian that was sent to me by one of my followers, Kenosha Kinku. They were in here earlier. But yeah, this is a piece of Mount, I think they said Mount Hood, I believe, obsidian. This is what we made. This was the first flake that I took off of the piece. We made this out of it. Margaret, thank you for the follow. But yeah, we're going to do no worries. I just want to make sure I knew what you were. Oh, right on, Aaron. What part of the country are you from? Seth, thank you for the follow. Probably should pay attention to what I'm doing here. I don't even know where that is. I'm sorry, Aaron. Oh, Southeast America. Right on. Yeah, depending on what region Southeast, you get down into Florida, Georgia, that area, there's quite a bit of, in fact, that's where this material here came from. This is, my buddy called it Georgia Jasper, but this came out of Flint River. Is it Flint River? Yeah. That came out of that same general area. All right, let's thin this thing down. I'll quit yakking, guys. Sorry. See, that was the flake that I wanted right there. You see how that it basically fluted that piece. Jeff, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So now all I got to do is just run some flakes to kind of meet up with that in the middle. Absolutely, Tubbs. Well, like I said, I don't mind. Chris, good morning. You know, I don't mind answering questions or, you know, talking about what I'm doing or whatever. That's why I'm doing it. So if you guys have got a question, feel free to ask. I'm not, you know, I know that hey, Michael, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. You know, I don't mind at all answering questions, or, you know, if I don't know, I'll look and see if I can find out for you. But I just think this is a wonderful format to be able to share this, because, you know, like I said, when I first started, there was nothing. I had my first napping stuff was a VHS tape and a book called The Art of Flint Napping, and it's by a gentleman named D.C. Waldorf. And he was, there are several guys that, Clint, thank you for the follow. Tubbs, I've got a video that explains how this is set up. This is really a unique setup compared to what a lot of other guys do. And I had to modify it because of a back injury that I had. But I've got a video, it's about 4 minutes long. I'm telling you, Chris, the struggle is real. I have picked up some serious nice hammerstones from Red Lobster and a few choice convenience stores. It's kind of funny. It's, you know, I'll be sitting in my chair. I don't know if you guys have all seen that meme where the guy and his wife are laying in bed, and he's laying there with this stupid grin on his face, and she's turned over the other way trying to figure out what he's thinking about. I'll be sitting in my chair, and my wife will look over at me and she'll say, "You're thinking about flint napping, aren't you?" And I'll say, "Yeah, I was." It is definitely, it will take you over if you are so inclined. See, right here, I'm not trying to drive flakes across it. I'm setting up this convexity so that the next series of flakes that I do take are going to clear off more of this mass. You see this side, we've got it pretty well cleared out, and we've got, you know, flakes going across it. There's one little spot right here that's getting ready to get it here in just a minute, because that's the way my edges are kind of turned. Tyreek, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Yep, it is, Chris, and I'm telling you, I can tell from your work. You know, there's a few of you that I watch that, you know, you can see when somebody's got bit by the bug hardcore. You know, you can. I've been doing this long enough that when you recognize, you know, that in somebody, you know, because that is really what it takes to get to the next level with flint napping. Is it's just you really got to dedicate some time and some thought to it. You know, that's what I say, that if you're just going to sit around and smack on a rock, you're not going to really learn unless you're, you know, practicing with a purpose. And I mean, you can see, guys, you can even see through this flake. I mean, that's how thin that stuff is, or, you know. Yeah, oh, I guarantee you, if you're used to, hey, somebody gave me, Blooming, John, thank you for the gift. I appreciate it. But yeah, if you're used to hitting Crowley's Ridge and then you hit Obsidian, you are going to blow a bunch of it up. Gary, well, I've napped on and off. I started 30 years ago this year, but I took about a 10 or 12 year break in the action, and I started back about 9 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago. I switched over to stone and antler tools, and that's all I've used since. But I would say, you know, if you practice, you know, daily, just like you would any other type of a skill that you're trying to learn, you know, whether it's playing guitar, and those are just scary, thin, just razor blades. But if you practice like if you were trying to learn to play guitar, and if you like those artifacts, oh, thank you, John, I appreciate it. If you like the artifacts, that's definitely the first step. That's where most of us that got into flint knapping started, was that love of those artifacts and wanting to know how they made them. You know, that's what drove me as a kid. You know, my grandpa was my hero. And hey, Blake, I hadn't heard from you in a while. I was actually going to try to get a hold of you. I was hoping everything was good. But yeah, following my grandpa around and seeing how, you know, excited he would get to find a point. And then when I found my first one, it was a Dalton, and he just, you know, he was just beside himself. So, look at the size of the flake from just that tap right there. And you see that, what we're getting, that flake right there went out and spread and took its whole area out. And left a razor blade edge. Look at these little stabby. See that piece right there? That'll go into you like a hypodermic needle, or faster actually. Oh man, sorry to hear you've been under that. Yeah, I know there's not a lot of on the work grid there. Got you covered up. Okay, right here we've got, you can see how part of this edge is turned this way and part of it is turned to the other side. So what we're going to try to do is even this up to where all of this runs one direction, so we can come back on this face. But we're going to remove all this mass right here. That's the next step. Oh, absolutely, Gary. You know, and it's these, well, I mean, I don't have, here's one of my knives right here. We're going to do a beef jerky video. We're going to make some racks and do some dried jerky. And I'm going to cut it up with this. This is a Calf Creek style point, but I absolutely believe that these were used as butcher knives. This will make a fantastic way to cut off, you know, jerky slabs off of a piece of meat. Oh, I got you. Well, that's cool though to even be able to study them though, Tubbs. That's the thing. You know, I've recently, hey, that crazy MF, how you doing? Real people, hey, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. I'm going to probably head up and look to the post office later today or tomorrow, so keeping an eye out for the package. All right. See, that one just stuck in my finger right next to where the other one cut me a while ago. And you saw how easy I tapped that. Yep, Chris, that's almost identical to my journey of doing this too. I've made bows, arrows, I napped. You know, my goal is to take, you know, harvest an animal here in Arkansas. with all handmade equipment. Now I've successfully taken them with bits and pieces, but never from a complete set that I've made. And I'm really hoping that I can check that off the list one of these days. We got a lot going on this year. We're building a new house and getting a lot of stuff set up for that. So I'm not sure how much extra time that. And I was going to talk to you guys with gardening season and all that stuff coming up. I'm not going to be able to be on here live every single day through the week. So what I was trying to come up with was maybe a time when I can do like 1 or 2 sites. Oh, awesome, Tubbs. And then you get to inform them when you find something. That's very cool. Gary, I would say that the easiest rock, so to speak, would be one that doesn't take a lot of force, but I'm really hesitant about telling people to start with obsidian because it is so dangerously scary sharp. Well, Chris, I want you to keep me up on that because that's kind of where I'm hoping to be too. So I've got a bow that I'm going to finish this summer, and I've got some river cane shafts that I'm going to make up. That's going to be another, we're going to do that live, do some river cane arrows. So got a lot of stuff in the works, but like I said, I've got quite a bit of home stuff going on around here too, trying to get everything going. So again, like I said, do you guys, those of you that are in here, do you have any? Oh yeah, oh Chris, thank you very much. Yeah, Tubbs, I have stumbled onto some places where you find what's called a debitage pile. And it's basically like you see this pile of flakes. Now this is exaggerated because I've sat here for 2 days and busted up quite a bit of rock. But yeah, I've come up on quarry sites where I've found debitage piles and then broken bifaces and material. And it's really cool to kind of know that you're standing or sitting right where, you know, somebody did hundreds or thousands of years and shaped a stone tool. And I just think that's really cool. Another little seam in there. You can see where that kind of broke weird right there. Oh, absolutely, Tubbs. I mean, when I was, well, I'll show you guys. Let me take a little break and let my hands. When I was shaping this rabbit stick, I don't know. This is raw and a little bit more coarse than I normally use, but that edge right there, that's a block plane all day. I mean, you can. Well, you guys can't see the flakes coming off of it, or the shavings, but it'll shape. You know, I'd use that as a final, you know, shaping tool. Block plane. Here's a sharper. That's how I did the planing of this, was just with a sharpened fresh flake. And that's all you need to be able to, you know, to do that kind of shaving with. I've thrown this one a few times, and like I said, I'm way out of practice as far as throwing at stuff, but I'm going to have a video coming out soon of me throwing this at a target for you guys. So, but yeah, you can use, you know, I would call something like this a block plane. I saved another one off of this piece of rock for that same reason, that steep edge right there. You know, why waste other material when you've got a little block plane right there that'll take off material, as well as, you know, that right there works as well as any steel block plane or scraper that I've ever used. The only problem is that when they dull, you know, you're basically going to get another, you just have to knock off another flake. There's no, on a block plane, it's not like an arrowhead or a knife. You want that continuous edge with no breaks in it, and that's what gives you a smooth, because I mean this will even, you can see even on bone, well you can't really see it very much, but it's not showing up well, but it'll shave that bone down. Yep. Oh yeah, and the thing about it, Gary, is once you've exhausted it, but I mean you can use it on, you know, any kind of, if you're trying to sharpen something down, if you're planing it off, you know, that's some of the handle material that we made. We did this one live. We did the point and then the handle and the hafting all live. Oh, absolutely, Tubbs. I mean, you know, and it's not even just Native Americans or the indigenous people in Australia. Is everywhere. You know, the ancient Europeans were making stone tools and surviving. You know, everything they did revolved around those tools. So Africa, same thing. And that's why I tell everybody, if you have an interest in learning to do this, it doesn't matter where your ancestors come from. They did this. So, did I know a lot of it came from there? Not sure what you mean, Tubbs. Well, look at that little slicer flake that came off the end of there. That just followed right along and went off the other edge. Turning this with just little flakes, because I don't want to try to drive anything off there and mess up my convexity that I got started on this side. There it was. Jeff, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Well, guys, we got quite a few. Hey, Ryan, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Got quite a few folks in here. I know we got other craftsmen in here, and oh, I don't know about that, Tubbs. That you're what I'm doing here. I don't necessarily think that it came from Australia. In fact, it came from the cradle. I don't know if you've ever heard of what they're referring to as the Oldowan culture, but they're talking about stone tools that were the beginnings of hand axes and sharpened flakes coming out of Africa, out of the cradle. So yeah, this is 3.1 million years ago. That's what I'm saying, Tubbs. Flint knapping, everybody's ancestor that's walking the face of this earth right now, human being, came from the Oldowan culture before it came out of Africa, and they have found evidence of stone tool sharpening as old as 3.1 million years, where they were bashing the edge, or it's almost at the beginning of I believe it was 3.1. Let me check that. I hate now after I said it, but I know that the Oldowan culture, they're talking about 3.1 million years, and that was one of the ways they were identifying them was through the stone tools that they were making. Now, the thing about it is that they weren't what you would think of as a stone tool. You know, it definitely was not refined stuff. You know, something like this, that is the beginnings of flint knapping. That's a chopper, that's a cutter, a butchering tool. As an early person, that's all you need. You just throw that in a bag and you're good to go. But yeah, the knapping, you know, from every culture, once those people spread from Africa, they took that knowledge with them. So as each of these different species and subspecies of humans moved throughout the planet, they had that core knowledge of how to you know, chip stone or to make stone sharp to cut with. So you know, that's why all humans, that's why I say no matter where you come from in the world, your ancestors did this. Mungo Man, I recognize the sound of that, Tubbs, but I don't have any you know, specific knowledge of it, but I've heard the reference to. Oh, right on. Yeah, I mean, you know, they're finding out, guys, you know, when in the 20s and 30s when well, the Folsoms were discovered first by a African-American cowboy, McJunkin, I think was his name. He was an amateur archaeologist and recognized that the stone tools that he was finding with the bones that he was finding, he knew that those were not modern buffalo and that they were an extinct ancient species. And a lot of what he found was kind of discarded, and he was never given any credit until after his death, and they still really don't credit him with that. But well, there's a bunch of different information out there, Tubbs. You know, it depends on what we're calling, you know, human, and what we're calling modern human, or, you know, modern Homo sapiens. But, you know, our ancestors, and when I say our, I mean everybody listening, our ancestors, you know, when they started dispersing and going all over the planet, they took with them certain skills. They took with them certain skills no matter where they went, and then they utilized the materials. But what you end up with, it's just like, okay, guys, it's just like in the United States or in the North America. We know now because of white sands, you know, it's something that we've known for, and a lot of us have known for a long time, or at least the likelihood of it. You know, the indigenous people here in North America have been here a lot longer than, you know, 200 years ago or 150 years ago. They thought that, oh, they couldn't have been here longer than 5,000 or 6,000 years. Some of that was based off of religious beliefs, you know, with the science. But then when they found the Folsom points in conjunction with extinct species from the Pleistocene, which is 12,000 years ago, they realized at that point they were going to have to backpedal a little bit, that people had been here a lot longer. And then with the discovery at White Sands, the footprints, that they're now dating those between 21 and 23,000 years. And, not to mention the fact that the entire coast of North America is, a mile in from where it was during that time. So all the evidence of these early people is out in the oceans. They're in the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. They even have, record of Clovis points coming up in dredges off the East Coast, out in the ocean. So I'm certain that people were here a lot sooner, or a lot longer than even the 21 to 23,000 years that they are estimating now. In fact, there are some other sites that I've been reading some stuff on that are pushing that date closer to 30, but they're still kind of questionable sites. They don't have all their ducks in a row yet to present it, but I think when it's all said and done, we will realize that humans have been on this continent for a long time. That's a nice little trailing off flake there, just out to the middle. Now, what I was getting ready to say a while ago, guys, we got quite a few folks in here, or did have. We don't have as many now, but if you have a craft or a skill or something, I know there's some leather workers in here. Occasionally there's all different potters and all that stuff. And if you guys have a craft or a special skill that you do, shout it out there, because I love seeing what everybody else is doing. Plus, there might be somebody out there looking for something that you do. And I would love for you to be able to make contact with people like that. Some gemstones, Justin, you can. Now, I'm not fortunate enough to be well off enough to nap anything that's got gemstone in front of it or gem quality, but yeah, there's opal. I know that can be napped. I'm not sure about some of the other stuff, but I know opal can. Nilbo Baggins, thank you for the follow. Wolf Ninja, thank you guys, appreciate it. Took a little bit more on that one than I wanted. All right, we're getting to a good spot here for today. I think I'll give it a rest, and we'll work on it tomorrow. Well, thank you, Aveley. I appreciate it. It's what I got kind of sidetracked, but one of the things, as we dispersed around the planet, but even in North America, you can see the evolution of the lithic technologies. We know that people were here before Clovis, but Clovis technology is the reason that they use that as a benchmark is because and that's the thing, when you see what can be accomplished with ancient tools, Gary, it's really amazing. I mean, the way that they utilize what was out there. Tubbs, I don't know what you mean there by your You're bad. Yes. So no worries. I mean, oh, no. I don't, guys, I'll make it real clear to you. I'm not a production napper. I don't do this for a living, and I would prefer that questions are asked, and I would prefer that comments are made, because to me, you know, there's enough people out there that are just, hey, Cher, thank you for the follow and the comment. I appreciate it. But there's enough people out there that are just flint napping, and you get to watch them do something. And then when you got a question, you know, either they don't recognize that you ask a question, or, oh yeah, Justin, the CNC machines are amazing. You know, and to be able to produce stuff like, I used to work in a manufacturing plant that they had. Absolutely, Share Love. This is, you know, this is just a continuation of technology that's been around for millions of years. But no, even in North America, you know, like I was saying, the Clovis technology, once it was realized that how efficient it was at doing what they needed it to do, it spread throughout the continent. But then as the megafauna at the end of the Pleistocene, we start seeing fewer and fewer evidence of the ground sloths and the camels and the horses and all that stuff. So consequently, you also see a downsizing in the general size of the Clovis points that are associated with that. Oh, right on, Share Love. John, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and for the kind words. And you know, like I said, Nilbo, I spent a number of years working at it, and then I was injured on the job here about 10 years ago, and to save what was left of my sanity, which is not a lot, but I had to come up with something to kind of occupy my mind a little bit. So I started doing some studying and kind of got back into flint napping. I had been doing it for a while, but had taken kind of a break from it. And when I got back into it after my injury, it was a way for me. I do a lot of research, guys. I read archaeological papers. I watch lectures. You know, I'm going to say a while ago, I kind of got sidetracked. I do that a lot, but have been fortunate enough here recently to be contacted. A friend of mine met somebody that works for our local university in the archaeology department, and I'm going to be able to have, you know, possible access to some papers and to be able to look at the collection that our local university has. So, James, thank you for the follow. But yeah, guys, anytime I'm doing this, and if I catch your comment, yeah, Gary, I'm a guitar player too. I use that as an analogy a lot for flint napping. Then this will make sense to you. Well, Nilbo, for the first couple of 3 years, you know, I didn't know that anybody else did this when I first started. But, you know, like I said, 10 years ago, I started watching every video that I could find, every resource that had to do with flint napping. I was looking it up. Oh yeah, that's the thing, Justin. There, you know, that was the first widely used technology that they can, you know, that they could date to that point. But like I said, as the culture, you know, as it went on, and we got fewer and fewer of the animals that they were hunting with these tools, they started getting smaller until a point where there were no more. Right on, Tubbs. Well, you have a good day or good evening. It's down there in the land of Down Under. And hope to catch you on here again sometime. Ivies, thank you for the follow. It was nice to meet you, Tubbs. Rick, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. But yeah, guys, if I can help you out with something that, you know, I don't know everything, but the stuff that I do know, I'd be happy to share with you. So, oh, absolutely, they hunted them out. You know, I think, Justin, it was probably a combination of the change in the weather and the fact that, you know, because most of those animals that they were hunting were ice age. You know, they needed that steppe tundra type stuff. And once those animals were getting harder and harder to come by, they had to adapt their hunting strategies to match what they were hunting. And that's why you start seeing smaller and smaller, what I would call a true projectile point. You know, when you look at a big 4 or 5 inch Clovis, my opinion, now I don't have a PhD next to my name or anything like that, but I have done a lot of research. But I've shot a bow and I've thrown an atlatl. And right on, Gary. And hey, if you like this content and just found me, check out my YouTube channel. We're uploading these, you know, as we get a chance to, getting them uploaded to the YouTube channel. I think there's a link in my profile, but it's the same name, New Age Neanderthal. So if you get a chance, go check it out. But no, I feel like that as the larger animals went away, they were having to hunt smaller and faster animals. So they needed something that they could, that with more range on their hunting weapon. And if you've ever thrown an atlatl or shot a bow, you're not going to put, you know, I mean, anything much bigger than that on an arrow, and you're going to drastically reduce your range and the trajectory of your point. So what a lot of people call bird points, that's an arrow point, in my opinion. So, but yeah, and I'll have the video out there, Gary, of the rabbit stick being thrown also. So, well, guys, we've got a few folks still in here. What days would work best for you as far as if I'm trying to do I'm not going to be able to go live 5 days a week like I have been during the mornings, because I've got a lot of stuff I need to get accomplished here. And typically I've only got 3 or 4 hours of good time before my back is really just junk for the day. So I'd like to try to find maybe a couple of days through the week and then one evening. So if you would be, you know, kind of thinking on that, and we'll talk about it some more tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and finish out the week and do 8 to 10 tomorrow, but I'm going to come up with a new schedule. So that but I want to be able to be accessible to you guys, but then at the same time where I can get some stuff done. So if you would be thinking on that, I'm going to go ahead and get off here and try to get some stuff done if the rain will let me. So if you're in the path of any of these bad storms, I hope that you're safe and watching out for yourselves, those around you. And until tomorrow morning, guys, keep chipping.